Good part of the day, dear students. Today our lecture is devoted to Turkestan's division into Khanates. It is a 7th lecture of country study course. I am Jalilova Lola Jalilova is going to conduct that lecture today. So let's start. Our plan today comprises 3 points. The first is devoted to Turkestan's division into Khanates, its reasons and consequences. The second one is devoted to Bukhara Emirate, KHIVA Khanate, and KOKAND Khanate. The third point is devoted to social, political, and cultural life in Khanates. So Turkestan's division into Khanates, its reasons and consequences. The history of our country has witnessed different stages in the development of Uzbek statehood and didn't occur in the same rate, and its growth, there were many victorious and failed periods. It is apparent that the kingdom, which was founded by Amir Timur, was the biggest and the most powerful in the history of Uzbekistan. He not only left a powerful state to his offspring, but also a famous Timurid code about instructions for establishing a state and ruling it. Everyone who is connected with my generation should do his work according to this code, and it should be used as an instruction to rule the state, so that the state and kingdom passing to them will be free from damages and crises, he stated. But his program and statements were not practiced. This strong mutual and internal struggles and authority made the state weak, bringing the country to disorders. The Timurid state quickly broke into two halves after the death of Timur. The chronic internal fighting of the Timurid attracted the attention of the Uzbek nomadic tribes living to the north of the Aral Sea. In 1501, the Uzbeks began a wholesale invasions of Maviranahar. Under the leadership of Muhammad Shaybani, the Uzbeks conquered the key cities of Samarkand and Herat in 1505 and 1507 respectively, and founded the Khanate of Bukhara. One great incoming human wave that did substantially change the demography of the region brought the ethnonym Uzbeks to the heart of that land. These Turkic Mongol tribes came from northwestern Siberia, where they probably adopted the name Uzbek from the admired Muslim ruler of the Golden Horde, Uzbek Khan. A descendant of Chinggis Khan, Abukhar, at the age of 17, rose to the headship of the Uzbek Confederation in Siberia in 1428. During his 40-year reign, Abukhar Khan intervened either against or in support of several Central Asian Timurid princes and led the Uzbek tribes southward to the north bank of the Sirdarya. So recovering rapidly, the mounted Uzbek tribesmen regrouped, and in 1494-95, they conquered key portions of Maviranahar. The leader of those tribes, Abulkhar's grandson, Muhammad Shaybani Khan, ejected the last Timurid sultans, Babur and Husayn Baykara, from Samarkand and Herat respectively. The Uzbeks occupied major cities including Bukhara, Khiva, Samarkand, and Khujand, and moved their numerous tribes permanently into Maviranahar, Khorasan, and adjacent lands. Muhammad Shaybani established and gave his adopted name to the potent Shaybani dynasty, which ruled from its capital Bukhara for a century. The second point of our lecture devoted to Bukhara Emirate, KHIVA Khanate, and KOKAND Khanate. So let's start with the history of Bukhara Emirate. In the 30s, 40s of the 17th century, King of Iran, Nader Shah, made an agreement with Muhammad Hakim Bey, who was Mangid, in order to conquer Bukhara and he was announced as the supreme king of the Khanate. The current king of Bukhara, Abul Faiz Khan, was removed from the government. In 1743, Hakim Bey and his son Muhammad Rahim entered the service of Nader Shah. When he died in 1747, Muhammad Rahim took the power of Khanate himself. In 1756, announcing himself as Emir, he founded Mangit's dynasty. According to it, Bukhara Khanate began to be called as Bukhara Emirate, and until 1920, the Mangids ruled the country. Emir Shomrot was called as Emir Mas'um, innocent Emir, continued fighting against disorders in the country. Emir killed 2 people, Davlat Kushbeki and Nizamuddin Kozakalu, in front of all officials on his own. Taxes were put in order. He handed the label of Tarhan to the population of Bukhara. According to that label, the population became free to pay taxes from their income. Even taxes for marriage and scales were reduced. During Shomrot's period, emirates of Bukhara strengthened, but the mutual battles didn't stop. So the second division to KHIVA Khanate. At the end of 15th century and at the beginning of 16th centuries, Khwarezm was a part of the country ruled by Husayn BUKHARA. In 1505, Khwarezm was invaded by Shambani, and Kipak Bey from the Kongra tribe was appointed as the governor. When Shaybani fought with the king of Iran, Ismail Shah conquered Khwarezm and included it to his possession, appointed 3 governors to the towns Vizir, Urgench, and Khiva. In Khwarezm, the people who were opposite to Ismail's reign organized uprising, and the judge of the town Vizir, Umar Khori, and Said Hisamuddin were leaders in it. They invited Ilbarh Shah, who was the son of Birka Sultan and the descendant of Shaybani, to be Khan. In 1511, Ilbarh Khan came with his army and cleared Vizir, Urgench, Khiva, Khosrowshahr from the army of Ismail Shah. So in 1511, independent KHIVA Khanate was founded. Ilbarh Khan became its first Khan. In KHIVA, Shaybani's reign continued until 1770. The capital was Urgench, and the period of Arab Khan, the capital was changed to KHIVA. Oases in the lower part of Amudarya, Mangishlak, Mashhad, Turkmen places around Uzboy were also in that Khanate. But there was not peace in the country. There were wars between KHIVA and Bukhara because of Murghab and Marv. The next Khanate that appeared was KOKAND Khanate. At the beginning of the 18th century, because of continuous battles, the government became weak and Bukhara Emirate divided into 2 parts. In 1709, one of the Uzbek tribes, Minks, that were living around KOKAND came into power, and Shohrukh Bey was appointed as their leader. Thus, KOKAND Khanate was founded. But KOKAND Khanate was officially named as Khanate in 1805 because KOKAND's king, Alim Khan, admitted the title Khan that year. So we came to the third point of our lecture: social, political, and cultural life in Khanate. Uzbek Khan, Shaybani, using diplomacy and power, gradually took in hand the lands of Maveranakh. The economies of the cities were gradually restored, and the 16th century crafts and trade in the cities of Bukhara, Samarkand, and Tashkent were well developed. The domed buildings, caravanserais, mosques, and other structures erected under Abdullah Khan have survived in Bukhara. With craft development, trade also prospered. In the 16th century, Bukhara and KHIVA embassies, together with trade caravans, went to Moscow, India, Iran, Kashgar, Siberia, and Kazakh steppes. In return, their embassies arrived in Bukhara. After Kazan and then Astrakhan Khanates were annexed to Moscow state, in 1557, merchants from Kharazm appeared there, and Moscow merchants came to Bukhara. In 1558, Bukhara was visited by Jenkinson, an Englishman who was the official ambassador of Ivan the Terrible. In 1559, he was joined by the embassies from Bukhara, Balkh, and Urgench on his trip back to Moscow for the purpose of concluding trade agreements. Later on, Abdullah Khan repeatedly sent his ambassadors to Ivan the Terrible and his son. Moscow imported the fish teeth, furs, skins, honey, works, wooden ware, metal products, falcons, and Arctic falcons. Western Europeans brought cloths, velvet, mirrors, and weapons, although it was forbidden to export it via Moscow. The special imperial permission was mandatory to bring silver and coins to Bukhara. Central Asia sent to Russia silk, woolen and cotton fabrics, lambskin, raw silk, carpet, spices, dried fruit, and so forth. Central Asia was known for trading slaves, mainly Iranian captured by Uzbek during their raids to Khorasan, and Russians whom they bought from the Normans of Dashti Kipchak. If to speak about literary works written during that period, we can count a great number of them. Bahr al-Asrar by Mahmud ibn Wali, Dastur al-Muluk by Samandar Tirmizi, The History of Ubaidullah Khan by Mir Muhammad Amin Bukhari, The History of Abul Faiz Khan by Abdurrahman Tol, The History of Emir Haydar are the important sources in learning the history of Bukhara Khanate. The others like Shajari Turk by Abul Ghazi Bahadur Khan, Iqbal Name by Shir Muhammad Munis, Riyuz ad-Dawla by Oghani, The History of Kharazm by Yusuf Bayoni are valuable sources in learning the history of KHIVA Khanate. And in learning the history of KOKAND Khanate, works as the history of Umar Khan and the history of Shohrokh can be crucial. So there are the questions that you will be able to answer after these lectures. If you still have some questions, I will be happy to answer them later. So see you during the next lecture. Bye.